Hello everybody and welcome back to the Leeds Lens for your Birmingham City versus Leeds United match preview. What are we all thinking about this game then? I think for me, naturally, look, the cup, people will say is an inconvenience, people will say is a distraction. You're probably right. You're probably right. It probably is a slight distraction, but I don't really see it that way. I actually think right now we've got a really competitive squad, and I actually think we've got loads of good players who are not playing at this moment in time. I sort of key point to that Buonanotte, I key point to that sort of Wilfred Gnonto, Tanaka, Joe Perot. All these players, I think this is the game for them. I think this is absolutely the game for them. And I think you actually saw in the game versus Derby, in a similar sort of game, championship opposition away from home, us putting a really, really solid performance with them sort of players. And I think, again, I look at this game and I think it's a really good opportunity for Wilfred Gnonto, for Ao Tanaka, for Perot, for these players of the world to of course impress themselves and impress Daniel Farke. And it's important we have these games because it allows these people to get minutes, and it means if we've got injured players that are currently in the starting 11, then at least these players are coming in fresh. So I do think it's ideal if we stay in the FA Cup. Also want to win the FA Cup. Look, I don't think we are going to win the FA Cup in truth, but you want to go as far as possible. Truthfully, obviously, I'm not going to be absolutely on here shouting, swearing and screaming if we do get knocked out on Sunday. But I want to win because I think for these players, it's massively, massively important that we've got these games and we are able to rotate in these games. And I think actually for the first time in a while, Leeds United have probably got a squad that we are able to rotate with. I think that's a massive, massive positive. Gibson White, evening Scott, evening to you too, Gibson White. Also, I want to mention, by the way, apologies I'm a few minutes late. However, you should get a slight positive because I think the sound is going to be better today. If you could let me know if you're watching live, if the sound is better today, that would be fantastic. But I've been doing loads of tests today, and hopefully the sound is better because truthfully, yesterday I was pulling my hair out of the sound, and there's not much left as it is. So I was pulling my hair out with the sound because it just sounded awful, and I hate that echoey sound. So I hope today it's fixed, but that's kind of why I was a bit late. I've been faffing around probably for about the last 45 minutes trying to get the damn thing fixed, but we're getting that way. Also, as well, if you could help the channel by dropping like, subscribe, all that good stuff. It is the Friday night show, my favourite show of the week. It just always feels so much more relaxed on a Friday. I don't know if that's because I'm more relaxed because the working week's over. I'm not quite sure, but I always enjoy the Friday night show more than sort of any other show of the week. So if you could do that and you could help me by dropping a like, subscribe, all that good stuff, it really helps me. I am, of course, one of the smaller Leeds United content creators, naturally. So to help me sort of boost me in the algorithms, the likes and subscriptions that you guys have been doing over the last few weeks has been just immense for the channel. So if you could continue to do that, it would be fantastic. Chris says, Chelsea out again, somewhere over the rainbow. Gibson White says, Perot, Gnonto, Tanaka should all start. I agree, mate. I think they're the sort of key specimens that should start. Specimens, probably wrong word, but key people that should start. I agree. I think they're all really good options. I also think, obviously, that you could throw... you could also throw Buonanotte in there. I'd really like to see him start. Gavin said a few other names. He said Tanaka, Gnonto, Longstaff. Yep, Longstaff should definitely be featuring. Perot, Buonanotte, DJ, all should get at least 6 changes. And I agree. I actually think in attacking areas, when I was looking at this game, I think it's quite easy for Leeds United in attacking areas because we've named Gavin and sort of Gibson and myself have sort of named for me the sort of attacking options that we should have. I think we've got quite a few good rotation options in attacking areas at this moment in time. I really do think that, and I think they all should play obviously against Derby. My issue actually, against Birmingham, should I say? My issue is more with the defence. I think in defence it's a bit more difficult, isn't it? Like at this moment in time, you'd normally say we'll play James Justin. He's the backup, but he's actually playing at this moment. Don't really want to play him. Of course, you don't really want to play Rodon for me. You don't really want to play Strauch. He's injured anyway, so he can't play, of course. He's out the game, as is Stack, which, to be fair, they weren't going to be playing anyway, in my opinion. You don't really want to play Biol as well. I think he actually kind of got a niggle, from all accounts, in the game against Derby as well. So for me, he should be nowhere near it. So I'm looking in defence and thinking, how on earth are Leeds United going to do it? I think it's obvious that Buonanotte will play in this game, and I would definitely play Buonanotte. I know he made a slight hiccup, obviously, against Chelsea, and actually a slight hiccup against Derby in the FA Cup, but this is a perfect game for Buonanotte, in truth. So he should play. But that next centre-back position, or if we are going to play 3 at the back as well, I find that a bit more tricky, I must admit. I do think he'll play Ampadu. I think he'll play Ampadu at centre-back. I think that's one of the centre-backs he'll play, because I think he'll see a centre-back has not as much physicality needed in the game as maybe you would need in a centre midfielder in terms of how much running they'll have to do, and obviously that makes sense. So I do think he'll play Ampadu at centre-back, but I'm interested to know what you guys think in terms of the defence, where you go. I would like to see Sam Byram get a run out, in truth. I would like to see Sam Byram get a run out. I don't want to see Gabby Goodmanson, don't want to see Justin, and don't want to see Bogle. So if them players are out of it, you are looking at a Sam Byram situation where he should be playing at left-back. We haven't got Jack Harrison, obviously, like we had in the last game as well. So again, where is he going to go with the left back? I'm not so sure. I think that's interesting. I do think that's interesting. Let's have a look. Sound is good. Yeah, I'm really glad that the sound's good. Actually, it sounds okay to me. To me. Yeah, no, I'm glad the sound's as good. I've been working on it, and I have, truthfully, people, I've got I've got a microphone that goes into you might not care about this, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. I've got a microphone that goes into USB into my computer, and it's the best microphone literally money can buy for a USB port. So it should sound immaculate. It should sound nearly professional level, like you'd hear on sort of Sky Sports. It should sound that good. And yesterday it sounded absolutely crap. So I still managed to get some views. No idea how. I appreciate you. That. I think Biol starts to get further minutes, says Gavin. Yeah, look, I think Biol's obviously got to be an option, I think, at centre-back. And I think of all the players at centre-back, Rodon's played a lot of minutes, Justin's played a lot of minutes. Maybe he does go with Biol. Maybe that's the point. Maybe he does go with Biol. It's just one of them situations, isn't it, Gavin, where I just don't want players getting injured in this game. It'd be absolutely. I remember when we played Rodrigo away in the cup and we got injured and we were 3-0 up and we're playing someone crap like a League Two team. I can't remember who it is. One of you will probably remind me in the chat. But I just don't want anything like that happening again. Truthfully, I really do not want anything like that happening. Mosh says, Mosh. I can't pronounce your name. Can I call you Mosh? Is that okay? I think Farke wants to progress in this competition, and he will bring on stronger players to win this game. Yeah, I think at the start of the season you want to progress in this game, and I actually think going forward, crew, you're right, Gavin. But I actually think going forward, we need to sort of prioritise the cups more. And actually, when we're talking about the progression of Leeds United, and this is kind of where I wanted to go to the show. I know we talk about it's a preview and that sort of thing, but I do want to talk about the progression a bit of Leeds United. And the FA Cup is a sign of progression, in my opinion, if we can do better in the FA Cup. And I don't really think this is the season to fire everything at the FA Cup. I always think the best teams to go for the FA Cup is like a Crystal Palace last year, where they're finishing mid-table. I think hopefully next year, if we get more strength in depth in the summer, bring more strength in depth in, next season we should be able to really attack the cup. And if we do stay in the Premier League, because I'm hoping next year we'll finish about mid-table, and that's the perfect chance to do it. I don't think it's a great opportunity when you sort of fight for the league like we were last season, trying to get promoted. I don't really think it's a huge option this year, obviously, with the situation where we are in the Premier League. But hopefully we can get to ourselves to a maintained Premier League safety. I do think they're the clubs that really should attack the FA Cup. If I was an Everton fan, I'd be going absolutely mad that they got knocked out by Sunderland, because again, for clubs like them at the moment, where we're trying to get to, I do think they should see really good progression in the cups, and I would hope Leeds United, especially next season, if we do stay in the Premier League and we do progress and we do turn ourselves into a mid-table team, which should obviously be the aim. I do think then that's a really good opportunity to attack the FA Cup. I really do. Oh my God, you won't believe what I've just seen this Hull match. What's actually the score in that Hull match? Have we got it? Should I see if I can find it? What's actually the score? I don't usually. I have notifications on for basically every game, but I don't have it on for the cup. It's still 0-0, is it? Right, okay. Evening, I'm looking forward to seeing Gnonto, Tanaka, Buonanotte. Don't want to risk our first team. BL will play for fitness with Buonanotte and James and Byram. Yeah, I think you're probably right, Stephen. I do think you're probably right. It's just I don't want to lose any of them players. It's one of them, innit? Gavin says, did he try to beat Palmer's miss? Lol. 2 absolute assists missed by Chelsea. I'm almost peeing it here. It's comical. Is that right, Chris? Is that right? Right. Tristan says, or does he go with the back four and play Gnonto and DJ as fullbacks / wingbacks? If he's playing a back four, mate, I don't think he'll play Gnonto. He could play DJ as a fullback, to be fair, but I don't see him playing Gnonto as a fullback, if I'm being honest. Leeds will be fine next season with the toughest of all. I've watched Leeds 1,000 times since 1971. Seen it all before. Trust me, we're in a good place. Right, okay. No, I agree. I think, look, Leeds are in a good place. I agree with you. I think we're in a fantastic place at this moment. We've lost, 2 in 13 or whatever it is. We're flying. We actually are genuinely flying. Anyway, moving on to a bit sort of about Birmingham then, because let's get back on sort of on road with the preview. Birmingham are actually in really decent form at this moment. They're actually unbeaten in 8 games. I think they've been struggling as of late with a few draws here and there, and maybe struggling to score goals. But they've actually sort of progressed. And I think when you look at sort of what Birmingham tried to do in the summer, they obviously got promoted. They're backed by Tom Brady's of the world, etc., who's on a ridiculous sort of NFL sort of payday as such. I heard all that about the Super Bowl and about how much he's on, and I think obviously he's pumping a lot of money into the football club. They're also backed by, is it Wagner, I believe, their owner, who's pumping a lot of money in, and they've created quite a good team. And actually, when they first got promoted last season, they threw loads of money in it, and there was quite an expectation that they may be in around the top 6. So they are one of the decent teams in the division, and they will be up for it. And they've actually got quite a recent success in cup competitions of knocking out big clubs. So look, I think Birmingham will be up for it at the weekend. I actually think they might go full strength against us, and I do think they'll be well up for the game, and I do think it'll be a harder opposition than Derby. I actually thought Derby don't quite have the quality that Birmingham do. Look, we should have better quality than both, in truth. But I do think this will be a trickier test than the Derby game, because they are, as I said, they are in really good form at the moment. Chris Davis down there is doing a pretty good job, I think, with Birmingham. So look, I think it's going to be interesting to see how we compete. But it's always nice to see, I think, when you sometimes play in the cup games. Like I remember us playing Cardiff under Marsh, and we were struggling in the Premier League, and we got like a massive 5-2 win. Actually went to the game. And it's always nice to see how you sort of compete against these championship teams. But yeah, Gavin says James just to get another goal. Hopefully, mate. Hopefully, we want to keep it going, don't we? And also, there's also the injury situation, isn't there? Because obviously Strauch's now still out injured. I imagine Strauch's back for a Villa game, but I could be wrong. There's also Stack out injured as well. I think he'll be back as well for the game. The Villa game as well. But it's going to be interesting to see where we go from there. But they have got a few good players. Gavin's right in terms of Damari Gray. They've got Stansfield. They've got Duskovic, who I think's played at quite a good level in Germany for a number of years. They have got quite a decent team. And I remember watching them earlier in the season a few times. I remember watching the first game of the season. Do you remember they played Ipswich? And I think they drew 1-1. But they were actually really good in that game. So as I said, I'm expecting quite a bouncing atmosphere. There's a massive cohesion in the Birmingham sort of fan base at this moment in time, with the sort of club and the supporters and how much money they're pumping in. It's all quite sort of positive. So I do think, as I said, I don't think this is going to be a walkover. I do think it'll be a tricky game, but I do actually think that Leeds United will win this game. I do. I think we'll win. I think we'll win the game 3-1. I'll go for a similar scoreline to obviously that happened in the game in Derby. I do think we'll win the game, and I think we'll win the game well. I think we will concede, because I think fundamentally our attack in this game will look better than our defence, because I think our rotation options in attacking areas, because we're playing a back 3 in defensive areas, is always going to be better. So I do think that we will probably concede a goal, but I am going to go with Leeds United win 3-1. But what I really want to say, when I was sort of thinking about this show sort of today, when I was doing my driving round like I do for my job, I was sort of thinking about the game. I thought, I just don't want it to be a really negative atmosphere if it goes a bit wrong, because we are in such a good position in the league at this moment, and we don't need to be negative as Leeds fans. Like, we're doing really well, and I sort of want to keep the positivity, because I think the positivity at the moment is spewing this Leeds United team on. And I look what's happening with Spurs, I look what's happening with Forest, and I just think there's no sort of team chemistry there, and there's no sort of link between the players and the fans, and I think it's all really toxic, and you see that with the booing that you saw continuous to Spurs. They were booing at Forest as well, and obviously there's a bit of upheaval there with a new manager coming in, etc. as well. And I just want to keep it all really positive at Leeds, and I don't want this cup thing I don't want a massive personally, I don't want to see a massive meltdown on Twitter if we go out, because truthfully, at the start of the season, look, we all want to do well in the cup. We all want to progress in the cup. Of course we do. I'd love to win the FA Cup. It'd be fantastic for Leeds United to pick up a trophy. Of course it would. I mean, in fact, I'd probably take picking up the FA Cup over survival, potentially, just because to win a trophy. But truthfully, if we do go wrong, I just don't want to see a massive meltdown. I really can't be arsed with it this time. I'm sick to death of it. And look, people can say what they want about that, and people go, oh, you're sort of a happy clapper and all that. It's not about that, and you guys know I've been critical. It's just about me knowing what's best for Leeds United and trying to keep Leeds United in the Premier League. And I think us all being on board with what's going on with the manager, etc., and all just having this sort of happy place created for the players to play in, especially at Ellen Road, has been such a paramount for what Leeds United have done this season. And I just don't hope this is I just don't want this to be a problem for us. I just don't want it to be that. And it shouldn't be, because these players have put in a good season so far. They really have. And they deserve our support for me. Tristan says, Mosh says, just realised it's a 12 p.m. kickoff. We don't exactly do well with lunchtimes kickoffs. I believe, though, The Derby game was a 12 o'clock as well, mate. And actually, I actually think when you're playing away from home, the 12 kickoff is quite a good time. I think it's usually the worst atmosphere at midday on a Sunday. Everyone, I've been to Leeds United loads. I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. And the worst atmospheres are always the Sunday games. They are, or the 12:30 on a Saturday. It's never that bouncing because I think everyone's just waking up. Everyone's been on ale night before, and it kind of slows down the atmosphere. So I always think when you're playing away from home, actually playing at 12:30 is quite a good time to play. And I think you've seen that at Leeds United, even in our home form. We've had our best home atmospheres, haven't we, truthfully, in the evenings. So, yeah, look, that's kind of where I'm at with it. Wrexham are 1-0 up, are they? Yeah, okay. They remind me of us in terms of being newly promoted and being direct, but I agree, we have the better individual quality. Yeah, we do. Derby was 12:32. Yeah, it was. Wrexham were 1-0 up. Anyway, I shall wrap up the show today. Thanks all for watching. As always, there won't be a show tomorrow. Truthfully, people, I want a day off. I want a day off. And also, it feels like I'm just going to let this preview sit there. People then can watch it afterwards and we can sort of create this as a video. And then, of course, we will be back on Sunday. Match reaction. We might even do a closing whistle, see how it's gone elsewhere. I don't know. We'll have to sit. We'll play it by ear on the day. That's what we'll do. Let's see if you guys want that as well on the day. Well, thanks all for watching. As always, I hope you appreciated the show. I hope you liked the show. As I said, if you could support the channel by dropping a like, subscribe, all that good stuff does massively help the channel, as I am a small channel, naturally trying to grow. Anyway, thanks all for watching, and I will see you, everybody, on Sunday. Hopefully, after 3 points for the Mighty Whites. And let's hope some of the lads like Gnontos and Pro get a few goals there as well. Anyway, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you Sunday. See you later. Bye for now.